This podcast is intended for adults only. We do not condone the use of any illegal substances, and anything we consume is for educational purposes only.
Because, we should be afraid of a plant that grows from the ground. And, endocannabinoid system is, it's in your body and it produces cannabinoids. I mean, you know what? I'm going to stop because I'm going to rant. Just play the music, Mitch.
So I drove 6 states, never thought I'd be there right by my side, man. What a time it is to be alive. See, I'm charged up, feeling energized, building enterprise, move supersize. Y'all lecture like a side of fries. Whoa, false guys who you idolize. Yeah, go against us, I would not advise. We the highest in the room, just look up once and you can find us. Our song should have more plays, but we too though, they rewind us. All my talk is lined up, every day my girl
You're listening to the Canna Kuyas podcast, where we are cultivating conversations concerning cannabis, culture, and creativity. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Mitch Narito.
And again, it's Eric Esteban. We are coming live from the Buddha Lounge, but this time, again, like I told you, we're changing the programming. We're upgrading the programming, right, Mitch?
we're adding some production value.
But we have a very special guest come to the Buddha Lounge today. It's our friend and the man responsible for one of the most magical cannabis evenings that Mitch and I have ever been a part of.
Big ups for that.
Big ups for that forever. And that's probably why you're a guest on this podcast, by the way.
But yeah.
Man, you may have seen him on the Food Network. This guy is all around. This is a prolific, brilliant chef that happens to also make cannabis infused deliciousness.
Nom 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 nom.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Canna Kuyas podcast, Chris Binotto.
Hey.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for all those kind words. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Come on, man.
I appreciate that.
You were responsible for the magical evening.
Yeah, that was a killer one. I'm so glad both of you guys were there. That was awesome. We did that comedy. I forget what did we call it. I don't even remember. I mean, it was a couple of years ago now, but yeah, we did a comedy cannabis dinner with Ron Funches, Reggie Watts, and a lot of other really cool people there. And yeah, you guys were my guests and got to come hang out. So
yeah, we've talked about that night at length on this podcast.
I love that.
Because it's a legendary night, man. I mean, we had Wonder Brett was there.
Yep. Wonder Brett.
Baby arm joints for Ron Funches. I mean, it was a legendary night, but that we could talk about that. We've talked about that on the podcast.
I love that. I'm so glad you guys talked about that.
We came here to talk about you and talk about what was your first experience with cannabis?
With cannabis in general?
Yeah, in general.
Oh man, my first experience. Okay, so actually, it took me a lot of time smoking as a kid. I'm not going to say how young I was, but it took me a lot of time smoking until I actually got high. It was the weirdest fucking thing. So we'd, after school, go over to homie's front porch, rip a bong, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, this doesn't do it for me. And my other buddies are feeling it. And, I wasn't, ripping, going full force. But, I'd toke a couple bowls here and there and, but it took me a few times, and eventually one of my boys was just like, dude, I'm getting you fucking high. This is what's going to happen. Yeah. And I think he just rolled up 3 or 4 joints, and we're out back of his house one day just ripping J's until all of a sudden I just started laughing. I was just like, I just started laughing. And my boy's like, dude, calm down. What? They're all like, this guy's super stoned. And eventually I remember they tried to get me calmed down by telling me yo, bro, the fucking cops are here. You gotta be quiet. The cops, they're right there. And I'm like, oh my God. I just kept laughing. I could not, man. And that was super memorable, really funny experience. But I did always think it's weird still to this day that it took me so long till it actually affected me.
Yeah.
You know,
How would you say how many times do you think before
at least
before the laugh fest?
I would say, Joe, it's got to be at least like maybe 5-6 times minimum, kind of spread out. You know, I can imagine we went up to that porch and smoked every freaking day after school. But like,
and it was over a period of time, right?
I would say over a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Because once I started, I'm like, well, now I gotta finish.
Well,
this
now
goddamn
I'm a
thing.
pothead.
Like,
now I gotta make it.
Well, I'm just smoking this herb, and I'm just smoking. Like, maybe I wasn't inhaling properly. I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't real
you
herb.
know? But I mean, we were
Maybe
ripping
you
balls.
didn't inhale like the way
Maybe I didn't inhale.
like Bill Clinton.
Like fucking Bill. I mean, that's a lot of fucking nonsense right there. But we'll talk about that and cigars later. Oh man. No, that was a good time. And
Some
then,
nice 90s references right there for you early on in the podcast.
Oh,
First
yeah.
5 minutes.
I mean, those were the days. That was my days. That's when we're talking right here. It was the 90s in Detroit, Michigan, actually.
Oh, you?
So,
I didn't realize you grew up in Detroit.
Yep. I grew
Midwest.
up in Detroit.
That's another connection we
Yeah,
have.
Midwest, baby, east side of the city. And while we're on the subject of like way back memories, first memories of weed, I do have some memories of going places to purchase cannabis.
Yeah.
That. I shouldn't have fucking been. I had no business being there. Yeah. I look back, I'm like, I went to the fucking crack house on my rollerblades. Like, look, my father's an immigrant from Italy, but I look as white as can be. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what's this fucking like?
What's this rollerbladed
15th young white boy on fucking rollerblades? And we're in Detroit, so you're passing crackheads on the way in these motherfuckers, you know, just to go get a couple nickel bags. But I mean, I'm lucky to be alive. Like, I'm really lucky to be alive. Just my adventures searching for weed in Detroit.
But how good were you on the rollerblades? Like, could they have caught you if you had to get to a chase?
I think at that age I would be way faster than Biggie.
So you had
Big Black in the
your
corner.
escape plan all set. You didn't even know. You had your.
Yeah, I mean, you know, always on a bike.
shins.
At that age, though, you're always on a bike. You got rollerblades.
Oh, yeah.
Or I got someone with the bike and a rope pulling me on the rollerblades.
Exactly.
Get me the fuck out of here.
And then afterwards, your shins, the top. I just remember them. Damn.
Yeah.
The top of your shins.
Yeah, 'cause shin
Like,
spots.
no, because right after, because they wouldn't come all the way up to your knee. They would come to the middle of your shins.
Yeah.
And then after you've been putting pressure on the top of that shin for
You have a
so
ring around
long,
your-
oh my God, did that top? Oh, it
Oh, the
hurts.
good old days. Do people rollerblade anymore?
They still have them.
They do.
Maybe in Venice Beach.
Yeah, in Venice.
Maybe
in
Venice Beach.
You
That's
live
about
in
it.
Venice, so you would know. But yeah,
Skates are coming back too.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think
bunch of skate
everybody
parties
just
out there.
can't. I feel like people just can't afford new shit, is what it is. So they take
yeah, like
old
that.
shit.
Man, it's a recession. We gotta buy hand-me-down roller skates, rollerblades, anything with wheels. Buy 'em.
I'm saying.
These were my dad's.
No, but
These are my great
No, but
grandpappys.
part of why I grow weed, part of why we started this podcast, is to save on money on not going to the dispensary. But I remember when we first met. This is a legendary thing because I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast. Have I ever?
I don't remember.
Okay, give me this. The dogs will chew this bone, and it will be like a.
You'll hear this
all
in
through
the back.
whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you can go over there.
Get out of there, babies.
Okay, but we become very informal with the dogs now because they know that they're here.
Right, they're here.
They're in the
just running
Buddha
around.
Lounge.
It's gonna happen. Hey,
But
babies.
when we first met, it was right outside a comedy club
Yep.
here in Hollywood, and I was smoking a joint, a Baby Jeter, and this
I think
guy.
it was a watermelon baby Jeter.
I think it was.
like.
I think it was.
I think it was a watermelon baby Jeter.
I think it was. And I was smoking it, and this guy Chris comes up to me, and he says, "Hey man, is that a watermelon?"
No. I'll one up you.
Yeah.
All right. This is what I remember.
Okay, thank you.
I remember walking outside. I think you were obviously already there smoking. I walked outside, not knowing it was necessarily you or anyone, and I was just like, "Damn, is that a watermelon baby Jeter?"
That's what it
and
was.
You turn around, and you're like, "Oh shit! Who the fuck are you? What up, though?" Like, you're spot on. How did you know that shit? I'm like, bro, I got a beak like a Doberman Pinscher, all right?
And I was like, and then I remember I said, we have to be friends.
Hell yeah! And we've been kicking it ever since.
That's
baby.
true. It's true.
Kicking
Yep.
it ever since.
No, but so tell me how you got started cooking with cannabis. Like when was like the first, or anything else you want to share? Like what like some of your first experiences with cannabis, where, well, and especially with and how it relates to you being this big time chef that you are now.
I think so. Growing up, I had ADD, ADHD. I've always just had a lot of energy, and I'm one of those guys where it's like we'll be mid conversation. My wife hates this because I'm like mid conversation, and I'm like squirrel. Just that easy, just that simple. Like, oh my god, what about this? Like, we were fucking talking about this, and I'm like, I don't, honey, it's been fucking like 8 years. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know me by now.
Yeah.
But so as a kid, being very hyperactive and definitely having a hyperactive mind at the same time, cannabis went from something that was kind of playtime to something that was more constructive and more fun. Or I'm sorry, more helpful than fun. Obviously, still fun. We love it. But I remember the first time I put off taking Ritalin and drugs they were trying to prescribe kids back then, and probably still do, but I tried to push it off. And I remember one point in high school, I just got so fed up with myself getting in trouble and constantly, being in the positions you don't want to be just because I'm a hyperactive fucking kid. Mm-hmm. And what you look back and you're like, well, you're fucking kids. All these kids. It's a fucking kid, right? But so finally I said, you know what? I want this to end. And I tried taking Ritalin. I got sick as a fucking dog. I remember my art teacher was like, yo, come hang out back here. Just like, he was my boy. I was a big artist in school. I went to college for art school. So, he was just like, dude, hang out, feel better. And it took me out of the rest of the day of school. I remember like passing out, a couple hours later, come back like, I gotta go home. I can't do anything, man. And it just fucked me up so bad. And I was like, I'm never going to try that again. Yeah. Like and I've never been a prescription drug kind of person at all. And so I think having cannabis to rely on and to lean on, or lean into even, has always helped me out overcome a lot of that, that hyperactive, body and mind, and with work, it's the same thing. As a young cook, I would be so quick to react. Like, fuck this, or I'll get the fuck out of my way, or whatever it is. You're just, I'm Italian too, so I'm very reactive. I can have, I used to have a temperament, let's say, but I think cannabis, has helped that. Definitely helps that in my work anyways. Now I'm not going to tell everyone, go get fucking high and cut things with a knife and cook with fire. And like, I'm not going to, probably not for most people. Okay.
Right. No, there's definitely like a certain type of person that can be highly functional.
Right. There are functional potheads, and then there are potheads that
they'll smoke.
Couch lock.
Yeah, there's like I gotta go to sleep. You
remember when Ivy was here and she doesn't smoke a lot and she was on the podcast?
Yeah, she was seeing colors.
Yeah, and she was hallucinating.
God damn, was there some mushrooms in that shit?
Yeah. She hadn't smoked in
a long ass time.
And she
I love that.
She was she enjoyed my fresh harvested herb.
I love that.
By the way, what did your palate, your expert palate that can spot and spot pre-rolled taste smells
20 yards away.
20 yards away. No, I'm genuinely excited to hear what you thought of because we always do. Yeah. We always smoke before the podcast.
Taste testing.
And so what did you think of the harvested weed that I had?
I thought it was fantastic. I think it's you have two flavors specifically that the terpenes stood out for me. Mm-hmm. I think we talked about it, the what was it? The Jack.
The Jack
Jack has a lot of limonene.
Selected
in
by
it.
him. Selected by Mitch.
Yeah, it's a great strain. Because the terpenes are so noticeable, very distinct. And I'm sure it has a pretty high concentrate. I know that strain is known to yield a higher percentage.
Oh, it's so wonderful. Yeah.
And then I think the blueberry. What was that? It was a blueberry something.
It's a DJ. It's the original DJ Short blueberry.
DJ Short blueberry.
Yeah.
Okay. That one I think super distinct and fun because one, it reminds me of like back when I was a kid and everyone's like, "Yo, we got that blueberry dog." Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly, yeah.
And so I think one, I just get nostalgia tasting it and smelling it. But two, it is just very delicious. I love big flavors with my weed. I love big terpenes. And, when you do it fresh, when you're growing it yourself and when you're still kind of cultivating your own methods, too, so much. I guarantee I'll come back in 10 years and you'll have changed everything about what you do. Mm-hmm. And, these buds are going to be even a higher level than they are now, right? That's just the evolution of anything,
yeah, for sure.
Right?
I know. I'm still beginning my journey as a grower,
right?
And I'm very happy with the results.
Oh, 100%.
But I know that we've only just begun, baby.
Yeah.
I got a question for you, Chris. In terms of your knowledge of cannabis and like the flavor profiles and everything that comes along with it, like when did it transition from just like smoking it to you actually wanting to learn about it, and how did you learn about it?
Yeah, so it was always a medication, right? In school, in work, whatever. That's what it became to me. But when I first decided to... Hold on 1 minute. All right, cool. When I first decided to really marry them together...
Fizzy water.
Sorry. It's the bubbly one. A little filthy, So one of my good friends that I worked with back in the day at the Montage in Laguna Beach, he approached me and he's like, "Yo, dude, I got this crazy idea. What do you think about pairing cannabis strains with food?" And my first initial reaction was, I was like, well, I don't know, smoking and eating, right? That's a big no-no because smoke ruins your palate.
Yeah.
And so that was my initial, reservation about it. Mm-hmm. But we said, fuck it, let's try this. Let's see what happens. And so, I created a really fun menu. We picked out some strains. I think we worked with Wonder Brett was like our first dinner.
Nice.
And yeah, we knew Brett before he was Wonder Brett, basically. Yeah. And so, his flavors are really big, really bold as well. And so it was really fun and easy to pair it with it. And our first night we did in Laguna Beach, and I remember just looking at my partner maybe halfway through the dinner, and we're looking out at the dining room, and we're just like, yo, we got something. Like, we're on to something. Like, people were just so ecstatic. It was a euphoric state out there in the dining room. It was so cool to see and to realize that we were kind of onto something. And then after that, this was in 2017.
Okay.
So what is that? 8 years now?
8 years ago, yeah.
Almost 8 years now, whatever. And since then, we've been growing. I've been pushing the brand further in the culinary side. Especially, then I went on Chopped 420, which is a fun spin-off of, Chopped, the
show,
OG show from Food Network. So they did a fun cannabis spin-off. And after that really pushed me to do even more. Not just pair each dish with a different kind of cannabis, but to actually start infusing the dishes, to actually start doing cannabis incorporation. So by cannabis incorporation, I mean something like instead of making your standard chimichurri with like parsley and cilantro, I would do all the same stuff, just add in some cannabis fan leaves. Mm-hmm. It's a great replacement for parsley or an addition to It has a great herbaceousness, and depending your strain, you'll get those terpenes in there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's no psychoactive effects, but it's really just there for flavor and fun.
And I've heard that they're a very good provider of antioxidants.
Yes. So there is a lot of
there's a lot of good nutrients.
A lot of great health benefits to raw cannabis leaves, and flower as well. The second you cook any vegetable, let's just look at it like a vegetable, right? Second you cook any vegetable, you're deteriorating a lot of the enzymes and vitamins that are in those vegetables. So to be able to work with it in kind of a raw state is really fun, and yeah, very, very good for you. Helps out your immune system, your blood cells. So much. There's a lot.
Too much.
Yeah, I would have to Google it right now.
It's a very,
refresh
very,
my memory.
It's a very amazing plant when you really start to really think about it. And it's, I have a question now about when you say incorporation of cannabis, and you were talking about like the jack terpenes and citrusy notes. Would you, like, say for instance, if you were making a dish, would you use the terpenes as a way of incorporating that flavor profile into the dish as well, or does that necessarily translate when you're cooking with it?
No, yes, 100%. Like the terpenes, like I just said, like making a chimichurri, let's say, right? Easy example. Definitely, you pick something with a lot more limonene in it, right? You're gonna get that little lemony cut through your chimichurri, which is great, which is a beautiful addition to something like that.
Right.
So yeah, I think picking your terpenes is very a big part of the selecting process. Okay. Right? Definitely. And because, we're dealing with food, right? So it's all about the nose. It's all about the palate. So anything with bigger smells, bigger tastes, and not necessarily even foodie tastes, like even something like pinene, more piney type terpene, could be very fun. I have these stemless martini chiller glasses, right? And we'll put whatever food, desserts, or even cold dishes in the chillers. Underneath, I'll put dry ice with water. But in the water, I'll put some sort of terpene. So we could do a pinene terpene in there, right? And as the dish is going out and it's vaporing and smoking out of this dish, you're going to get that essence, that pinene terpene, or whatever terpene you want. But, that's just a fun little way to incorporate something like that.
That's
even
awesome.
a terpene that you wouldn't necessarily put in the food, because nobody wants to eat like a piece of pine, right? Yeah. But to have that scent with something, to accentuate the experience.
It is about when you first eat food, the scent of it is what first attracts you to it. So of 100%. Course, all those different terpenes are gonna enhance your experience for sure. That whole entourage effect that they talk about.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of psychoactive, like whatever milligrams or whatever per dish that you have,
yes.
What would you say is like, how did you come to that dosage? Because I'm pretty sure that took a lot of experimentation to make sure it's enough where it's not overwhelming,
right?
And because I think for the event that we went to, you guys had like an 8-course dinner. So it's like, how do you gauge that out so it's not like, because like a lot of people maybe by the first dish they might be like too stoned already, you know what I mean?
Right.
So how do you figure?
So what we do is we do have people that say, hey, I want to be dosed lower or dosed higher.
Okay.
Or, most people just go along for our ride. Thankfully, there's so much information out there already. What we base our progression by is the standard index, right?
Yeah.
So for your average Joe of 180 pounds, it takes, 10 milligrams to get that person at this point to reach a psychoactive effect. And, your body processes in an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that, right? So we try to keep it within those guidelines, just standard. All right, so about 10, I forget, is it 10 or is it 20 milligrams? I would have to look it up.
It's 50.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, 50.
I'm kidding.
For us,
Yeah.
it's 50 for sure. Like maybe 100 before I take a plane ride. You know? Fuck. But so we try to. I think our standard is 10 milligrams throughout the dinner.
Okay.
And if you want more, you get more. If you want less, you get less.
Sure.
And what I do is, there's a lot of cannabis chefs that infuse their sauces or the things that they're adding to the dish, right? And I'm by no means knocking any of that. I'm just very, I want to be super, super precise on the ride that we're giving these people.
Yeah.
And the way we do it, the way I do it is I will individually dose each course.
Wow.
And we use olive oils. I use olive oil. And some are more neutral. Some have a heavier olive oil impact. As well as the same on the terpenes and the presence of the cannabis in those oils. So I'll have different oils that we'll use.
And then is this oil that you make yourself, or is this...
I used to make my own oils. I work with an awesome company called the Pharmaceutical Company.
Gotcha.
So you can check them out on the socials. But really great. I believe it's a woman-owned company. And they've been hooking us up for years. So I don't even have to make my own infusions anymore.
That's nice.
And they have a lot of different grades and things that they give to us. So it's
cool.
Really cool. Yeah. And... I think it's specifically also, like, I put it where olive oil can be needed, right? Or can be used. I'm not just going to put it on, like, the dessert. Like, I don't need fucking olive oil on this dessert, right?
Right. That's where you hit them with a good brownie.
Or we'll just stick with the classic pairing or what the weed pairing,
something. It's so interesting because it's a science.
Yes.
It really is a science when it comes down to it, because especially in the idea of making sure that everyone is in a dinner of 200, 300 people, all those people are so chemically and biologically different.
Right.
So to be able to figure that out so that not even just one person is too much. It's a pretty fine line you have to walk. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think like the way we control it with the pairings. So I think we only go like half a gram per course. And they choose. They can take one hit, or they can smoke the whole damn thing.
Right.
Which
is what we did. All the time.
And hell yeah, as you should, my friends, as you should. And
so what's your favorite mode of smoking? If it's just you and you're by yourself, you're unwinding
vessel.
How do you like to do it?
I'm a joint guy. I am a joint guy. Growing up in Detroit, I was raised on blunts, and I think that just ravaged my lungs.
Yeah.
And something about a joint is, until you get to the very end of it, like, each hit tastes kind of fresh. Even after your second, third bowl light, like, it tastes a little more cashy. So I love
to the point where I don't want to finish it. Like, I feel the hardness there, but I know that shit's all black.
Right.
And I almost don't want to finish it.
Because it's the char.
But in a joint, I'm down to just smoke that bitch to the nub.
And you get that galactic goop at the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's delicious. And then you were talking about how you put even diamonds and stuff in your joint.
Yeah,
So,
I got one here today. So on the way here, I rolled one up, and I got nice buds that I like to smoke my first smoke of the day.
Sure.
And then my last smoke of the day. Something tasty. Leave my palate feeling good,
Of course.
But I got my day smoker too. And usually with my day smoker, I love to put in, today I got some diamonds in there. I put some diamonds in there, twisted up a little hog leg. And that's just because my day smoker doesn't have...
hog leg.
A little hog leg, We're going to roast a little hog leg here today. But, my day smoker doesn't have quite the terpenes that all back to the terps, that my other stuff has, right? So to elevate the terps and the flavor of that J, throw those diamonds or butter or whatever, what do you call it? Concentrates, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You want to put in there, and it helps burn slower. I mean, shit, normally in the drive from Venice to here, to the Buddha Lounge, I would have smoked a joint in no time, you know? But I think I got like 2/3 of this motherfucker still left. You know what I'm saying?
See,
so
that's what I'm
nice
hoping
and
for with this hash that I'm gonna.
Yes.
Because is it like those little pinners of hash in the middle of the joint?
Yep.
Oh,
when
there
you see the what are they, the hash hole?
Yeah,
the hash hole.
The hash hole.
That works great with like the butter or anything that you can kind of mold. I'll roll into a snake,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
You just put it
yeah.
right in that little thing, and then ooh-wee.
One of my buddies calls
And
those
it
a
helps
dog walker.
burn the whole thing evenly too.
Yes.
It's really nice.
It's cool. It burns it all even, all slow.
Oh,
And you got a big enough one. You're like, what the fuck is that hole in there?
what is that? Is there some kind of a crack in there?
I want to go in there.
I want to stay in there
That's where I
forever.
want to
I
live.
just want to live in there. I want to explore that cave.
That's kind of how I feel about Meg the Stallion. Oh,
Yeah,
are we sharing too much? Sorry.
Wait.
No, I'm working on a Meg the Stallion joke where at the end I go like
you
this.
should
Bye,
keep
guys.
working on
But
it.
You guys didn't see it. But
well, I can't see
it's
your
a very
face, right?
visual joke, so you can't. But that's
We'll get videos up in the Buddha Lounge.
Eventually.
I think they need to see the Buddha Lounge, in full effect, man.
I'm very excited about all the different new strains that I have in the Buddha Lounge.
Hell yeah.
But at the same time, I have all those strains that we kept. I have the mother plants for those, so I'm going to
Nice.
keep the genetics. I'm going to try and keep the genetics for as long as I can.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
While we're at
keep
it,
perfecting it. and-
Yeah. While we're at it, why don't we get a grow update? So.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So right now, the Gelato 33 has almost grown out of the tent. To be honest,
it's a tree. It's
I
a bush.
took it. I up-potted it from a 1 gallon, and then I up-potted to a 5 gallon, and then now that 5 gallon is now a 15 gallon because it grew to be this tree basically.
Yeah, it's
you
big.
guys all saw it.
Yeah,
Like,
now
it's
you're
like a-
ready to plant the tree in the front yard.
well, I almost, if I could, I probably would. No, so
is that?
but I did end up having to stake it down and bamboo it so that it won't outgrow the tent because I flipped it to flower. Because if I didn't flip it to flower now, it would be monstrous. It would be
Right.
too big. So I have those in with their cross, the Gelato 33 cross with Legend OG. I have another couple of plants in there of that in the same tent, and then Blueberry Muffin and Chicken and Waffles are vegging for a little while longer.
Stoked on that chicken and waffles.
Me
Can't
too.
Wait to,
I can't wait to see what comes
yeah.
out. Well, it's a new strain from Humboldt Seed Company, so
Humboldt's been keeping it.
it's so consistent though. But and that's part of what I've been loving is their auto flowers.
Okay.
As far as the garden update and the grow update, the auto flowers have held me the fuck down with the grow because it takes you 90 to 100 days just from seed to sprout, 90 days, and you got flower to smoke. It's crazy.
Wow.
You don't have to switch the light cycle. You can run them 24 hours a day if you wanted, and that's what I'm going to run in the summertime in the greenhouse is some autoflowers because they'll just grow and they're gonna bud
So
no
they're
matter what.
modified in some sort of.
They're
level
crossed
to-
with there's the sativa, the indica, and then I think there's the ruderalis is another strain which
Good for glaucoma.
correct. No, but it's like the ruderalis gene of cannabis where it grows in like wintry, like in Russia. And,
Okay.
and
so that'd be good shit for me to grow in Michigan.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, no,
All right.
but a lot of people are growing. That's why autoflowers caught on is because they don't need a change in light cycle. So you can put them on your windowsill and they'll grow and then they'll bud when they bud.
Okay.
It's more about their root structure on when they flower than the amount of light that they get.
Okay.
Because they grew in Russia or in places where
Right.
there's limited amount of light, so they're always only
That'd be good outdoor for sure, like out
Exactly.
on the farm.
Exactly. So if you were wanting to grow stuff, you that are obviously also easier to grow, easier to maintain.
Yeah,
Just make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
you have some good fertilized ground.
Now,
pop
is
some
that a
autoflower
brand
seeds.
specific? This
No.
auto flower?
No, that's almost now. I would almost liken it to like a cultivar specific, type of plant that you grow. Like there's a photo period plants that are sensitive to light, where you need to do the 18-6 during veg, and then do a longer night cycle for winter, like a 12-12 or 11-13 type of thing. But autoflowers don't need that. You can just 18-6 them the whole way through, and then in 90 days you'll have
it's just
harvestable bud.
Set it and forget it is pretty much for.
And
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
like,
So I'll give you some seeds now.
Before you leave, I'll take them, bro.
Yeah,
Those are going to Michigan with me on the farm, man.
Yeah, I got you. I'll give you some seeds. I'll give you some seeds because I gave you some jelly donuts. That's what I just harvested.
Okay.
That was also an autoflower, which also, because if you deal with good genetics, I couldn't tell the difference between a photo period and an autoflower. Before, back when they first started doing it, you could tell there was a distinct difference between the THC levels, between all the cannabinoid levels were a little bit lower. But now they basically
it's on par.
It's on par. Like that pineapple OG.
Yeah.
All autoflowers. And so it's like in between harvests, you have another harvest that you can go.
And can you still take from those trees and transplant and or do they not work as well
them
as
really, because
clone them? That's what I meant,
you can't clone autoflowers because they always will. The plant will stay a clone, meaning if you cut it at a time, like say you cut it and you try to re-veg it like a monster plant, like the ones that I have in there, because they're photo period plants, you can do that. But autoflowers, they're going to stay the same age as they were from the plant that you cut. It's not, you can't re-veg it. It's going to stay the same age.
That's one of the things. It's like
their fail-safe.
Yeah.
So you don't.
So you got to keep buying seeds.
So every time for the autoflower, do you have to? Is your crop done every time you trim?
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's like so potentially if you had a good indoor grow, and potentially if I wanted to, I could switch to all autoflowers, and every 90 days I would have harvest.
But you'd have to re-up those seeds every time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whereas if I grow from clone with photo periods, I can set up the clones and I can just keep it growing and just keep growing. A perpetual grow.
But try a little bit of both.
Yeah. No, but that's pretty much what ended up happening, because he has the regular, right, that he's been keeping going, and then in between harvests, because it's all about timing a harvest, so you always have something, right?
Yeah.
So like
exactly.
In between harvests, the autoflowers will hold whoever down.
Right.
And I say whoever because he.
Yeah,
it's me.
It's me. Whoever. I'm talking about me.
No, because and what also is great about it is because I have the photo period, the Jack Herrera's photo period, the DJ Short Blueberries photo period, and the Jedi Cookies is photo period. But the jelly donuts and the pineapple OG are both. Waffles. And no, the chicken and waffles is photo period.
Oh, what?
And so is blueberry muffin. They're both. All of those are photo period because it's a different type of plant, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I have the photo. But I also have the photo period seeds for jelly donuts as well. So I have all different types of seeds, then because I want to, I've set up where it's perpetual,
right?
So I never run out of weed. But I'm almost harvesting every month because I enjoy trimming. I enjoy the process of all of this. It's so much fun for me.
I love it.
So I love doing all of it. So I'm every 2 to 3 months I want to harvest.
Mm-hmm. So you can buy the seeds like specifically like
autoflower
or photo period?
Correct.
Oh.
And then you can also buy regular seeds. Those are the hardest to do, which is, remember what happened?
Yeah, that's the one you don't know. You don't know
whether male or female. Yeah. Correct. And then and so those are the hardest to deal with. And when I've been listening to a lot of seed podcasts and cannabis seed podcasts, and those are the hardest to sell as well. If you're trying to sell seeds,
right? Nobody wants regular mystery bag.
Because you could grow out 6 of these seedlings, and then potentially all 6 could be dudes,
right?
And then you got nothing.
Yeah.
Which is what happened to me in one of the things where it ended up being like there was like 12 seeds in the pack, and only 3 were female.
Oof. That's a pretty shitty ratio right now.
It sucks.
It's a bad percentage.
It sucks so bad. I'm like, what the fuck are these? These balls on my weed. What are these?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember as a kid, like, when there was seeds and stems in your weed, right?
Yeah.
I just remember, like, putting those in my mom's fucking flower pots and gardens, and the bitches would just go. Like,
they just go.
Grow.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, I don't think I knew then if it was a male, female, whatever the fuck, you know, but...
I still kind of don't know. I know.
Yeah,
no,
yeah. I'm still figuring that out.
No, but it's still kind of a hassle.
Yeah.
To deal with regular seeds, especially if you only have a limited space to grow.
Yeah.
So I've been...
Yeah, back in our day, they didn't have a website you could go buy fucking specific
You're lucky if you
Ultra
got...
Super Saiyan fucking seeds. You know, like...
Right. No, you wouldn't. You don't have it.
No.
And then living in California, it's even better because you could even go to the dispensaries and buy seeds. You can buy clones, which Buds and Roses, for as far as clones go, those
Can
clones.
you clone clones?
Yeah, that's what that whole tent is, just clones of clones.
So maybe if I just went and bought a clone, are they? I mean, what's the difference of why buy a clone? How about this? Why buy a clone as opposed to just planting the seed and waiting a couple weeks?
Because with the seed, even with the autoflower seed, even with the photoperiod feminized seed that you know is a lady and you know you're going to get bud from, you don't know how much bud or how good the bud is.
Okay.
In a clone, they already know that clone is a clone of something that was really, really fucking good.
Interesting.
So you know that genetics is going to probably give you something. If you grow it the right way, that clone, like the Gelato 33, that specific strain of Gelato 33 has been the mother strain to a whole bunch of like runts and Girl Scout cookies, whole bunch of that specific Gelato 33.
Hell yeah.
Right? So I want that, right? So that's the one that I've had, and now I've cloned it. Now I'll hopefully have 6 more plants of Gelato 33, and then I'm gonna clone those bitches too.
Right.
And then just keep cloning until keep
You
going.
have to get a bigger greenhouse. Yeah.
Well, or I need to start shutting up about how many plants I have because I'm way over the plant limit.
Yeah. I'll meet you out in SD.
No, but at the same time, I'm not so worried because again I'm harvesting all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're. No.
I'm not at all in any way.
Now that's a good question too. Over the limit, is it plants in general or specifically budded?
Mature, mature plant.
If you read the
so if
letter
you're
to the
doing your
law.
cycle, then you're fucking. If you're doing a proper cycle, you're fine.
You're fine. Yeah.
You don't have a giant fucking farm out there.
No. I mean I'm never harvesting more than 3 to 6 plants at a time.
Right.
Which is the plant limit for mature plants.
Okay.
So
that's dope.
I'm fine. You know, and anyway, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just a good friend to have. It's not like I'm trying to be Scarface.
Right. You just need shit to get by, bro, so you don't have to pay the dispensary your arm and your leg.
Well,
did I tell you I went to a dispensary and I tried to use the medical license?
Yeah, you told me, you called me and you asked me about it, and then they said
no, because I guess like different dispensaries take different licenses.
Oh,
so
what?
Yeah, like they have like
they have the right to refuse your license.
Yeah, I guess
sucks.
So.
Interesting.
Because I was like, hey, you guys, do you guys honor this? And they're like, oh, this is not.
And that's just because you wanted the discount, right?
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do is, I get it. They don't want to give anybody the discount.
Yeah.
Because
It's okay. I'm just gonna go to the other place that's in the hood that will give it.
Right.
But then you're just going to the other place. Then
fucking dispensaries, man. You know, I'm not trying to talk smack, but like anyone who's aside from the government these days, but the ones who are making the money are the dispensaries. The poor brands eat shit these days. You know,
and the farmers. I mean,
and that's interesting to hear. Like they're even tightening up on giving a fucking medicinal discount. Come the fuck on, dispensaries.
No, it's true.
Like, look, we all know it's bullshit, but like, still, you know, I don't know.
But the state of our industry, as far as cannabis goes, is a little funky.
It's very, man. I mean, there's toxicity I feel like you never used to see before. That's going like just with companies and even just like in the business itself. The I don't just mean toxicity like people talking shit. I also mean toxicity like, yo, the depth that brands and companies and dispensaries and people have to go, the lengths, the hoops they got to jump through just to become legal. Even though this is something they've been doing probably for years, no good grower, no great grower, just starts it on a whim, and I'd say the same for any business person, right?
Yeah.
But, it is very interesting where the government takes. I almost feel, and I don't know the depths, but I almost feel like, tobacco and alcohol don't even have as high of restrictions and taxations and shit you got to go through.
They weren't there when
some whiskey.
Yeah.
They weren't there after Prohibition ended, or else it'd probably be the same way.
I guarantee, right?
It'd probably be the same thing.
Yeah,
because we are in. If you look in history, right, like the parallels of history, where cannabis was demonized about 100 years ago, and now 100 years from that time, now it's what it is.
Yep.
Right. And in the same way that alcohol was demonized in the Prohibition era in the 20s and the 30s, and
well, that's 100 years ago now. Yeah,
exactly.
Cannabis is like 200 years ago.
But cannabis
Hemp.
was also and hemp's been around for thousands
Cash
of years.
crop, baby.
But cannabis was demonized and decriminalized in the 30s and 40s.
Yes.
Here in America. So it's the same. It really is. It's a trip to think about the same people who probably criminalized it back then are now trying to make as much money from it, from taxing it and all the other stuff.
Meanwhile, in 1920, there's like legal cocaine on the shelves of pharmaceuticals and legal heroin. I mean, we still have legal heroin. It's called Vicodins.
Exactly.
And all opioids. But
exactly.
Fuck, man. I guess it's sad to say, but when it comes down to it, it sounds like they just need the money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Because we all know where the money from pharmaceuticals is going.
Well, but it has always been, and I will say this.
I don't know about the legal cocaine, but
well, I'm cool with cocaine.
Yeah.
But I've always said this, even when I was smoking, since I was 16, 17 years old, and maybe 8. I don't remember. Anyway, but around that time, I said, eventually this is going to be legal because it's a plant.
Yep.
And too many people enjoy it. At that point, I didn't know anything about the medicinal properties of it or how it helps folks or anything else like that. But I knew that it helped me, right?
No, I guarantee you that all the big tobacco companies, like, the moment that it gets, like, legalized, like, federally, right?
Yeah.
Like, Marlboro's going to have packs of fucking joints.
Marijuana 100.
But the thing is that we're there now.
Yeah.
We're there now.
Practically there.
We're practically there now with multi-state corporations that own a lot of these weed companies, where they're spraying terps on the weed and like that. When the last time we were at a dispensary and it said infused cannabis and it was like supposed to be just an eighth a jar, and I'm like, what the fuck does infused mean?
That's some hemp shit with infused with some
sprayed
distillate.
With some sprayed terps.
Yeah. They spray some fucking distillate
and it was on the
terps.
top shelf of the dispensary, and I was like, what the fuck? I'm not buying this.
See, that's definitely somebody that was bought out by a massive brand. I mean, and I think, I could be wrong, so I don't want to go on record and say this, but, I'm pretty sure Brett, speaking of earlier,
Wonder Brett.
Of Wonder Brett, I'm pretty sure once he saw how corporate some of these, companies become from the inside out, last I heard, he took a step back. I could be wrong. But I think that's probably something that you see a lot more often, and it's a story of just business in general.
Sure.
I guess once the business gets bigger, they try to buy the originator out and figure out how to make it bigger, faster, cheaper, and your quality just fucking goes down, like in anything, absolutely anything.
Which is part of the reason why when I said when cannabis becomes big tobacco, I'm going to grow my own, and that was 3 years ago.
Right.
So, and we've now partaken of my garden, and I'm set.
Hell
I am
yeah.
never going back. I am never going back.
That's the way it should be. I think just growing your own stuff and then being able to medicate yourself on your own supply and be self-sufficient, self-contained, if you will. Right.
I like that. And on those words, before we hit our time, Mr. Binotto, do you have
Mr.
anything?
Benito.
Yeah. Say his name with respect.
I
He's
got
our
you.
guest.
Yes,
He's our
Mr.
guest.
Chris
I like
Benito.
that. Mister's my father. It's all right.
No, but is there anything that you want to promote, or if you want to tell any of our listeners where they can find you?
Yeah. Most of my socials are chef_Binotto, Binotto.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. It's a me, Binotto.
So have we been pronouncing your name wrong?
I don't know. I don't even pay attention, actually.
Because we've been saying Benito
called,
the
so
whole
it's all right.
time.
Benito Flake, Bento Box. I've been called it all.
Okay.
Binotto.
So
all right.
it's pronounce it for us now.
Binotto.
Binotto.
Yeah.
See, if we'd have said
Binotto.
Chris Binotto, Kalia would not have thought that this dude was Filipino.
Oh yeah, no, that's right.
Why? What did you say?
Because we were like.
Benito?
Chris,
Benito?
Yeah,
because we were saying Chris Benito, and then she was like, "Oh, okay," and and then when she first met you, she was like, "I thought you were going to be Filipino," and it's because of the way we're pronouncing your name. But if we'd have said Binotto, then they'd have been like, Binotto.
And you gotta say
I
it
grew
with
up in
that
an
finger
Italian
like
neighborhood
this.
in Chicago. I know how to say Binotto.
Hell yeah.
No, but there you go. Yeah. Chef_Binotto.
Yep, that's it. And my brand's called Embers and Ash. That's my live fire brand, and my other company is called Cannabis Supper Club. So that one you'll probably really enjoy. Cannabis Supper Club.
That's the spot. That's where you want to be.
Hell yeah, it's good times.
But
Thank you for having me on here, guys. Really appreciate you.
Chris,
we appreciate you,
it's
man.
so great, man.
Thanks
Hell yeah.
for taking the time. So, everyone, you've been listening to the Canna Kuyas podcast, where we are cultivating conversations concerning cannabis, culture, and creativity. I'm Mitch Narito.
And it's Eric Esteban here. Remember to subscribe and follow whatever it is.
Make
stuff
that bell
you
ring
do.
or whatever. I don't know what
Hit
the
the
kids do these days.
notifications.
Put a tip in the jar.
Comment. Write a review if you can on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. It really does help get us into more ears and all that stuff.
And next week, we'll have that sweaty wiener.
This guy had to bring it to that.
Sorry, I had to bring the SNL in.
We're doing...
Sweaty balls.
No, we talk about donkey dicks
No, I
as
love
all
that.
the time.
Love
You know,
that.
the donkey dick weed where it's like, it looks like a donkey
Next
dick.
week, we're going to Tijuana.
We're going blue. We should end it now.
Bye. Bye.
To all our marijuana ates and Canna Kuyas, stay lifted.
Yeah.
Stay elevated, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace.
Later.
Got the.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got my hoodie on, now peep the chest as human catalyst. Downtown Chula Vista, on 3rd Ave where I go cop some shit. Fuck a thief, so fuck zoomies, yeah, they whack ass jacket shit. Yeah, I move too swift, so I'm striking silence. Fuck the violence, man, check my mileage, cause I got driving. First tour, I drove 6 states, never thought I'd be there right by my side, man. What a time it is to be alive. See, I'm charged up, feeling energized, build an enterprise, move supersize. Y'all let shit like a side of fries. Whoa, false guys who you idolize, yeah, go against us, I would not advise. We the highest in the room, just look up once and you can find us. Our song should have more plays, but we too low, they rewind us. All my targets lined up, every day my girl get fined up. All my clothes is local, bitch, I really rock designer.
Gang, highest in the room, yo, we get fucked up. Ay, you can count on Trey Cap, bring the loud pack. Ay, get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home run. Yeah, keep the up or leave the fuck a Folgers. Little bitch, I made the beat and dropped the full verse. I just hit a steelo, I got dripped up. Package born and raised, bitch, I got dripped up. Y no se compara. Yo estoy con mi pana, se llama Trega, fumando ganja. Estamos con Cali, fumando en Cali, yo sé que traen ganas. Ella me dice, papi, que terminamos la cama. Highest in the room, yeah, we get fucked up. Ay, you can count on Trey Cap, bring the loud pack. Ay, get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home run.
Yeah, we got hits face like Tatis and Machado. Man, we know you're not a leader, cause all our moves you just follow, packing big bowls. You know we just scooped up that gelato, cause I smoke killer. My shirt iller, yo, ask our dealer, we the highest in the room. Just look up once and you can find us. Our song should have more plays, but we too dope, they rewind us. All my talk is lined up, every day my girl get fined up. All my clothes is local, bitch, I rarely rock designer.
Highest in the room, yeah, we get fucked up. You can count on Trey, Cap, bring the loud pack. Get us in the stew and that's game over. Western Metal Building, that's a home.